We're going to first introduce Sergio Darajo. Sergio is the Ford Motor Company Global Purchasing Information Executive and Director. He's an experienced leader with proven skills to manage large and global information technology operations. In his current position, Sergio is responsible for managing the IT strategy, system development, and IT support for global Ford purchasing operations. His scope includes managing the software applications portfolio, coordinating IT program management, and ensuring IT system support across all purchasing operations at Ford Motor Company. Please welcome Sergio Darajo. Next up, I'd like to introduce Len Prokopets. Len is accepting the award for Tushar today, who is unfortunately able to join us. So Len is a Managing Director, Industrial Manufacturing, Procurement and Supply Chain, part of KPMG's Industrial Manufacturing Leadership Team focused on supply chain, procurement, and aftermarket, and serves as the Procurement and Supply Chain Leader. Len brings extensive experience in automotive and operations improvement, operating model transformation, and projects across OEM and Tier 1 organizations. So please welcome Len. And then finally, we'd like to welcome Matt Blythe to the stage. Matt is a Vice President within the SAP Global Procurement Center of Excellence. Matt's been a long-time trusted advisor to SAP customers for over 25 years, and his experience helped brings companies to transform their procurement and financial operations. Matt advises companies on how to leverage SAP best practices to drive measurable business outcomes across their source-to-pay business process. He has extensive experience with the entire SAP procurement solution portfolio, lots of SAP solution acronyms I'm not going to read to you right now. Matt graduated from Miami University with a bachelor's in accounting and currently resides with his family in Detroit. Please welcome Matt. Being here, thank you, Len, for accepting the award. Matt, always a pleasure to be with you. From this era of certain uncertainty and where you sit, is it here to stay, or is it simply a near-term condition? Sergio, we'll start with you. What's your sense?
Yeah. So for me, change always exists. I think the difference now, maybe in the last 5 years, is the speed of the change. So how things are impacting and how they are integrated. And a lot of that for me is related to a lot of efforts that we created on globalization, the technology itself. So, and as well as the macroeconomics that are now interlinked. So for me, this is always going to accelerate. I don't think that is something that will come back to a calm down stage. Now, it's up to us to, as we accelerate, how to embrace and how to be used to that. Because it's the new normal calm.
Yeah, for sure. Matt, kind of looking across our SAP automotive community, does this concept of uncertainty resonate across segments?
Absolutely. I think when you say certain uncertainty, I've even heard recently sustained disruption. It's this new normal that we're working in. I think recently COVID and coming out of the pandemic, that certainly shined a light on the importance of the procurement and supply chain function. We've had unprecedented demand volatility. We've had supply disruption all around the world. Since then, we continue to operate in a world that's uncertain, whether it's geopolitical risks, the uncertainty and volatility around tariffs and Section 232, whether it's labor shortages, labor strikes, union strikes, boats getting stuck in the Suez Canal. There's continual disruption, and it's the world procurement and supply chain teams need to work in now. I think historically, procurement's been focused on cost, and certainly cost management, cost optimization is a very high priority, but resiliency, assurance of supply is kind of top of mind right now to a lot of the companies we work with. And certainly, also I heard a lot coming out of the pandemic, hey, we got through it through brute force. We had people rolling up their sleeves, trying to get product in the door to meet demand. coming out of that, how do we be better? And how can we put processes, systems, tools, technology in place that allows us to better kind of plan, react, and respond to these disruptions because they're not going away. It's sort of the new normal. We certainly see that in automotive as well as all kinds of industries.
Yeah, I mean, to your point on the geopolitical risk, I did not have Mideast on my bingo card coming into this year. So, Glenn, from your perspective at KPMG, what are your own experiences and how can you point to, maybe through some of your empirical work, around what we all might be feeling around this topic of uncertainty?
Thanks, Bill. So one lens to look at this through is sort of what it's doing to consumers, and what we're seeing is that now the average age of a vehicle is up to 12 years. So consumers are affected by this, and obviously this flows then downstream to OEMs and tier ones, et cetera. The uncertainty is definitely, if you think about risk and resiliency, is driving a lot of transformation efforts within our clients. And I would say that uncertainty is, let's say disruptions, are a key driver of cost issues. So if you look at, part of what's behind the consumers being slow to upgrade their vehicles is a rise in actual vehicle costs. I think that the new vehicle costs from between 20 and 25, our data says, has risen by about 30%. Part of that is driven by the materials costs themselves, and I think just in the last year, materials costs rose by about 14%. So I would say procurement has its work cut out for it to help the manufacturers and ultimately the consumers.
I think we can, I think what we've heard, and perhaps certainly what came out in this week in a new KPMG asset, that procurement's never faced more pressure, and frankly in that case more opportunities. The knowledge piece shares that C-suite pushing the enterprise to move faster becomes more resilient. Procurement as a discipline, while that's happening, is being pulled into the center of many different transformation efforts, from smarter sourcing and delivery orchestration to that AI thing, AI enablement, risk resilience. In this case, meeting these expectations demand more than cost control and contract management. The paper suggests procurement needs stronger capabilities, broader influence, and deeper collaboration across the space. So Len, we'll come back to you. What do you see as the key leaders and capabilities that procurement stakeholders need to consider in this new frontier?
Thanks, Bill. So I would maybe point to the skills gap as being a very important element. KPMG just conducted a survey, as yet unpublished, covering global organization. I think we had 51 manufacturers participate, and they called out as one of the key concern areas the skills gap that exists in procurement and supply chain. And I think the figure was 80% of organizations see the skills gap specifically in those functions. And this manifests itself in challenges dealing with some of the risk and resiliency topics that we just talked about. Just given the fact that we don't have access to an infinite workforce, and in fact organizations are finding it difficult to bring in new talent that has all the right skills, it means that we need to get a lot better at driving skills improvement and upskilling of the workforce around some of these new complex topics to deal with the risk and resiliency, the change, the collaboration that's needed. So those were actually some of the key gaps that were called out.
Matt, what do you see as procurement teams look to add or augment skills and capabilities given these new realities?
Yeah, I think Len brought up a really good point there, and this has been going on for a few years, where there's been somewhat of a talent shortage in procurement, and the role, if you think about the role of procurement, it's really evolved from a back office kind of transactional processing to more of a strategic kind of way to seat at the table. We have some pretty big meaty topics that we're focused on in procurement, and the skills required for those topics have evolved. And kind of upskilling existing talent or finding new talent. And sometimes purchasing or procurement isn't a sexy role. I think coming out of college, I think if you ask some of the CPOs, did you think you'd end up in procurement? And not a lot of people come out of college going into purchasing. And so,
Not your opening line.
it's not at the cocktail party and at your frat. You're probably not talking about, hey, I'm going to go into purchasing. No, but in all seriousness, the skills have evolved. So they're looking at folks that have strategic and business acumen, stronger financial and commercial acumen. So as you look at supply strategies, cost breakdowns, negotiating commercial terms, that requires a higher level of business acumen. And then now of more late is AI and digital literacy and fluency. So embracing the new tools that are available. We certainly have a workforce that's kind of aging out, me included, if you notice my gray hair. So the younger generation, bringing in younger talent that have embraced digital technologies and AI. There's always, when you think about AI and talent, there's certainly, with some of the folks, people are worried that AI is going to take your job, that we're going to be removing heads, and what we're seeing is that isn't necessarily the case. It's AI is not going to take your job, but the person who knows how to use AI and has embraced AI and is using it to be more effective at their job, those are the people that you have to worry about, so you really need to embrace it. And that's certainly one of the things we're seeing from a people and talent perspective, is really having to use AI to be more effective.